Welcome to episode 16 of Drew's College Athlete Spotlight. The season 2 opener is here, and we have an awesome guest here today on this Sunday night when we're recording, or Wednesday if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or any listening platforms we have on. Sabrina Moore from Concordia University, a track and soccer player there. And Sabrina, how are you doing on this Sunday night?
I'm good. I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm good.
No, you're all good. Sabrina, this is all about you. You got this. We're going to be talking about your career in high school. We're going to be talking about, how you ended up at Concordia University and just that transition from the high school level to the collegiate level in sports and just how it's been for you. I first have to ask a question. I did see on social media, you got delivered crumble cookies by someone. I got to ask what your favorite kind of crumble cookie is. This is an important question as we're both kind of in the Milwaukee area, and you do see a lot of crumble cookie around. So can you give me that answer?
Yeah, I really like any of the brownie ones. I love brownies, and my favorite dessert by far. So anything that comes in that's like fudge brownie or like lava cake type things, I love those ones.
So Bernie better be taking notes here on that. I hope he's writing down some stuff here.
He knows. He should know.
He knows that. That's awesome to hear. And yeah, we'll talk about your soccer performance. You had a huge game in there, that opener for Concordia. But let's go to high school here, Sabrina. So we're going to go back now, right? You're a sophomore or you're a junior in college?
Junior, yes.
Junior in college, I should say, yeah. But we're going to go back to Maine Township South, where you went to high school. We'll talk about it. So I guess even farther than that, we're going to go into youth sports really here. So we're going to start with soccer. We're going to mainly focus on soccer here. That's okay. But going through it, when did you start playing soccer? Was it in high school? What level?
I started playing when I was 5, actually.
Ooh.
Yeah. I was doing house league soccer for a very long time. And then I think when I went into middle school, or in 5th grade, actually, I changed to travel soccer, club soccer. And then I was doing that pretty much up until high school.
So can you shout out the club team? What club team were you part of here?
I was just playing for the one in my from the town that I was from, Park Ridge, but the club in high school is called Premier.
Premier. So Premier was the place where club soccer was being played there for you, Sabrina. But going through it, I guess in your youth, did you have a favorite field? Was there what place where you were like, I want to go play there when I'm playing soccer?
Honestly, not really. When for house league soccer, you play at the same place every time. So we were always on the same field, not really that big of a deal. But as I went into travel soccer, I just liked being closer to home. I wasn't a big fan of traveling at that point, but now I love it. But yeah, during that time, I just liked being at our home field.
That makes sense. Club, that's the one thing with travel teams, right? I mean, travel's in the word. So you end up, how long the tournaments, what was the farthest tournament did you actually have to go to, or the farthest game? Can you give me one?
Yeah, we actually did a tournament in Minnesota. It was called the USA Cup, but people from all over the world came to do it. So not that far from us, but a lot longer of a distance for other people.
That is quite the hike from where you are. And that your high school, right? That's in northern Illinois. It's kind of like a suburb of Chicago, right?
Yeah, the northwest suburbs of Chicago.
Northwest suburbs. So with that, when you're playing in high school there, did you have, a favorite position? We're talking high school here. Did you start, playing striker, and then did you transition, or what position were you playing there?
Yeah. So in high school, I actually didn't play for my high school, but I was doing club soccer still. But I was a striker for most of it, but I kind of switched off between being in the midfield as a winger and being a striker.
Favorite position? Does that have to go to striker then?
Yeah, definitely.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Sabrina the striker, is there a nickname that kind of stems from that, or do you have
some
one
of my
there?
friends, yeah, some of them call me striker.
There you go.
Yeah.
But okay, so in high school, you were playing with the club team. You weren't playing with the school team. And with that, did you find that maybe being challenged in terms of the school team was often playing, but you were focused on club, or were you doing a different sport when the girls were you doing track instead, or how did that work?
Yeah, so I was doing club soccer. That was in the fall and the winter, and then because we had our indoor season, and then in the spring when like the soccer season was going on for our high school, that's when I was doing track. So that's why obviously I wasn't doing soccer at that point, but I still wanted to be playing, so I just did club.
That makes sense. I mean, how it works, at least where I'm from here in Valders, uh, you'd be doing, the club team. Basically, there's no school team because the men's soccer season was in fall, and with
Mhm.
that, you'd have to do club if you wanted to play soccer because we just didn't have it. That's just how it was. But girls soccer did have a team. They had it. Then they ran in the spring. Did they run it in the spring then for in Illinois as well?
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay, so that's
Yeah.
pretty standard way to run it through. So training program, I guess I kind of want to talk about this. So like, not being necessarily with like the school team, were you doing your own training stuff for soccer? Were you what was the game plan with that?
Yeah, so well, first like since they were different seasons, like in the spring I was only focusing on track, and then in the fall I was only focusing on soccer. And we honestly I wasn't really doing anything like on my own. It was more just being at practices like 2 times a week. It's definitely like it wasn't as much as it is now. We weren't practicing every day or anything like that. It would be like 2 or 3 practices a week and then a game for the weekend, and that was really it.
Yeah, and that's in high school you'll see that. We'll talk with the transition, in terms of training. We'll talk about how that adjustment was
Mhm.
for you. But I want to hear, was there a teammate, a coach, someone in particular you want to shout out from high school? Who really motivated you, was a good friend, something like that.
Oh, we could do one of my coaches. His name was Todd Privet. He was awesome. He always hyped me up. He was one of those coaches that was like kind of like a friend. But he was great. We still keep in touch now, and he like asks about my soccer season a lot.
Aw,
So he's
Coach
awesome.
Todd the
Yeah.
hype man? Is that what
Yeah.
I'm hearing?
Yeah.
So you see him flexing a lot on the sidelines or something if there's a big
Yeah.
play. Awesome. That's what we need. Okay, so before we kind of transition here to college, I want to hear, did you ever have like a moment, play, something that stood out to you that was like, hey, I can compete at even track or even soccer here at the collegiate level? Is there something that just stood out to you?
Like in high school,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
mean? Yeah. I don't know. I mean, the last season that I played in high school, like it was just a very, very good season. I think I scored every game that season. So like I think at that point I was like, yeah, I don't think like I want to be done playing yet because I don't know, I just didn't know that I was gonna like keep playing soccer. In college I knew for sure track, but soccer I didn't know. But I think after that season I was like, yeah, like maybe I could be doing this. This could be good for me. So
Yeah, and you mentioned for sure track was something you were looking at, but
mhm.
like going through recruiting. So, what schools were you looking at for like even track and soccer? Where you- was how did Concordia stand out? And can we just hear some of those names from
Yeah,
from the other potential schools?
yeah. So I was looking at Concordia, Augustana, um, North Central, Carroll. Those were like my biggest schools, but it was mostly between Augustana and Concordia. Like when I was trying to make my decision, those two schools for sure.
How did Concordia come out on top? Is what I want to hear.
Yes. So it was not for the sports, but it was for the occupational therapy program here. It's really, really good. And I knew that like that's what I wanted to go into in college and that's what I want to be in my future. And they just have a really good program here and Augustana didn't. So I wanted to, pursue that to find the priorities, and that obviously is one of them.
We always mention education first here on these episodes, so that's
Yes.
great. We'll talk more about your career plans here near the end of the episode, but first we got to talk. Okay, so college, you're a junior now, soccer
Mm-hmm.
season, track. This is your third year here at
Mm-hmm.
Concordia. So going through it, coming in, your first thoughts. So let's go back to freshman Sabrina Moore. Can we do that? Just go back
Mm-hmm.
2 years, and from there, what were your initial thoughts coming in? Were you nervous coming in right away? How did that part go? That transition going from high school to college?
Yeah, I mean, I think for anyone, it's pretty scary going from high school to college, living in a dorm room with like random people that you don't know. And I think like playing sports, you don't know how different it's going to be from high school. So yeah, I guess I was like pretty scared, like anyone would be, but like after a little bit, I mean, it ended up being fine.
It did, yeah. But like, and then with like competition wise, I guess training, I want to hear especially more on the soccer side here. I guess from the competition perspective, how did that go? I guess like just overall an adjustment. Was that something that took it's taken time to get used to? Like, did it take years? Did it take a few games? Like, how was that period of adjustment?
Yeah, I would say it probably took like a few games. I remember the first game, I was like very, very overwhelmed. I was like, oh my gosh, like this is a college game. This is the, type of stuff that people watch on TV, like it's just kind of crazy to think that you're a part of it. So I would say it was like kind of scary, but after a couple games, I was like, you know what, this is okay. You just gotta like, I guess, go back to like the fundamentals and be like, you know what, it's gonna be fine. Just play your game, do what you gotta do. But yeah, it didn't take me very long to like get accustomed to playing on a collegiate level or anything.
And would you say then the training programs that you went through was that like did that help a lot too? Because you mentioned even high school, you didn't do a lot of training there for soccer. I guess did you really ramp that up then in college, or how did that game plan? How did that go through?
Yeah, it was a lot more than I expected. It was a lot more than I had ever done. Just practicing every day, and obviously like starting with preseason, we were practicing 2 times a day, which like I felt like that was like more soccer than anyone needed, because like who needs to practice 2 times a day? But obviously now I know like why it's important to be practicing that much. But I definitely think freshman year, like it was a lot. It was a very, very big change.
And that's something that I mean, all of the guests who have came on the podcast have mentioned that it was an adjustment. Training ramped up, like they thought high school training was something. College is a whole different beast, is what people have
Mm-hmm.
said. Of course, you have the same answer here. We have a question here sent in. I'm going to show on the screen.
Okay.
So here's a good one here from Tracy. Would you consider yourself a soccer player who runs track or a runner who plays soccer? Thank you, Tracy, for sending in that question. So Sabrina, I'm going to let you. Floor is yours.
Oh boy. This is a hard question. I would probably say this is a really good question. I don't know if like I can call myself a runner, because people like associate running with like long distance, and that's not me at all. Like I'm a sprinter, but I would say I think when I tell people that like I do soccer and track, like it's always like, yeah, I do track and like I also play soccer. So I guess I would say I'm more of a runner who plays soccer.
There we go. There's the answer. Thank you, Tracy. That was supposed to be a drum roll. I don't know why I played the drum joke sound effect there, but yeah, thank you, Tracy, for that question. That's a perfect segue here to talk about some track. So had some of the track stuff up last year. I guess favorite event I first kind of want to touch on. Like we do see here in the 100-meter dash, he took a 5th place time in last year in the NAC championships. Yeah, like I said, 5th place time there of 12.81 seconds. And then also we saw you you were on relay teams by the 4x100 relay, and then we also saw you in the long jump. Is there a favorite event for you in track that really just stands out? Like, I want to do this event if I'm doing track.
Yeah, I would definitely say the 100 is my favorite event for sure.
There you go. And then I do see, yeah, I mean, we mentioned the 12.81 seconds with that. 100, you said, of course, for sure being the standout. Is that something like you want to be running? You want to be doing track like when you're doing it this year, next year? Do you want to stick doing the 100? Are there different events you want to try, or what would you say?
Yeah, so I really want to stick to the 100 and the 200. Actually, I was doing a lot of like 400s in the past couple years, and some in high school too, and I did not like them at all. But I feel like, based off of last year and my freshman year here, I think like with the 100 and even the 200, like that's where I could be most successful and like do the most for the team. So yeah, I want to stick with those. And then long jump, I want to stick with that too. And I also picked up pole vaulting last year, which was new. It was really, really different. I'm still not super confident with it, but that's something that like I don't know if I'd want to keep going with it. Maybe we'll see, but I don't think I'd want to pick up anything else other than those events.
I was gonna ask because I did see they had you listed as a pole vaulter. I was just gonna be like, hold on, this is not the Sabrina that we know. If I at least didn't think you were a pole vaulter, but hey, I did see that, and there you go, clearing it up there. But we're gonna go back a little to soccer here. Now we're gonna backtrack again. We're gonna talk about this soccer season, how it's gone so far.
Mm-hmm.
Spoiler: it's gone very well here for Concordia and yourself, Sabrina. Game 1 of the season. Right now we have it says 2 shots on goal. 2 goals there for Sabrina. 2 for 2 as the striker, Sabrina the striker in game 1 against Lawrence, and that was at Concordia. That's the game where Bernie came into the rescue, brought some crumble, which we did see. That's where I had to ask. But going through it like that first game of the year, like look, just talking about it. Think about your first game, 2 years ago, right? You mentioned how it was just a transition that just had to be made, and you made it. And look, 2 years from then, putting up 2 goals, 2 for 2, scoring in your first game. I guess if there's any sort of advice you could tell, freshman year Sabrina to Sabrina right now, is there something that sticks out? That'd be like, hey, I want you to know this.
Yeah, I would say is be confident. I don't think I was very confident freshman year, just being the freshman and, going into this team that like all these upperclassmen already knew each other. I think I was just scared of playing and like I wasn't, I didn't know where I would fit in on the team and like what my role would be. And yeah, I wish I did know that freshman year, but obviously that's something, that you learn as you play more games and you spend more time with the team. But yeah, I would say be more confident.
Yeah, and Bernard Vandenhoevel really wanted to shout out your first game as well, so I had to put that up
Thank
there.
you.
Be confident. That's a great message for all athletes, especially in a game of soccer. We have another question here sent in, and Bernard, I also want to send this one in. We were going to get to this a little bit here. We're going to talk more about the career side here, so this is perfect. So you mentioned occupational therapy. With occupational therapy, would you rather, or would you coach is my question, but then would you rather coach soccer or track is the second question. So there you go.
Yeah, so I actually worked as a soccer coach for a while in high school, but for like little kids, and I absolutely loved it. But I think in the future, I'd rather coach track just because I feel like, I've been doing soccer for a lot longer, but I feel like I would have more fun coaching track. And I feel like I just know like I could do a better job coaching track than I can soccer.
So there you go, Bernard. Thank you again for the question. It's a great question. Great answer, of course, from Sabrina. So career goals. I want to hear, so you mentioned occupational therapy again. I'll say it one more time. Is there a long-term career goal with that? Is there, I guess, what's that program like? Do you need a master's? I guess, walk me through your career goals here.
Yeah, so the way that the program works here is it's a 4.5-year program where I would get my master's at the end of it, or I could do an extra semester to make it 5 years to get my doctorate. That's what I'm going for because it's not very often that you find a program to get your doctorate in 5 years, which is why like I was so attracted to Concordia because of that. So that's what I'm going for within the next couple of years. So I'd be graduating in like 3 years. I think that would be spring of 2025. That's what we're going for. But yeah, I want to hopefully after that, I want to work in a hospital maybe as a pediatric occupational therapist. I don't know. That might change going through the program. We'll see. But right now, that's what I want.
Okay, so there's the career goal. That certainly sounds like something. There 5-6 years of school, but going through, I guess. So now you're in soccer season, right? Mm-hmm. My question is, I guess, how much focus? Because track starts, then you have the indoor season, then you have the outdoor, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So with that, are you right now? Of course, soccer's on the mind, but I guess right when soccer ends, do you go right into that track off season, or what's going to be the game plan here from going, now a junior? I guess you know what to expect. Right when soccer ends, are you going to be transitioning right away into track? Is that how it's going to work?
Yeah, so track usually starts at the end of our soccer season. So by the time I'm done with soccer, track, like the practices will have already started. Usually I take or the past couple of years I've taken a week off after soccer ended just to like rest and give my body a little bit of a break, and then I went into track, and then usually we have like a meet like a week or two after that. So yeah, it's a pretty quick transition from soccer to track. And like you said, like right now my mind is on soccer, but then having that week to like transition to track, because I feel like having a soccer mindset is very, very different from having a track mindset. So yeah, usually I have that little like week of a buffer period to like just transition into track.
Yeah, and I guess with soccer too, it's something because I mean you have those short bursts of speed you need, and then there's more like stamina because I guess especially with the position you're playing right now, it's all about like that short burst acceleration, being a striker, and going from there with, you know, you mentioned the 100 meter dash. You'll be doing exactly just that. You know, that short burst of speed. We'll go through the schedule here, and then we have another question we'll get to. So
Okay.
going through it, 4-0 was game 2 of the season against Lake Forest. So you guys have not allowed a goal yet. So shout out to that Concordia defense, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
Going well right now. So September 7th. So you're going to be on the road at Loris. It looks like at Denison, then at Kenya. 3-game road trip. So do you just take a bus there, you got the game, and you take a bus back, and then you do that again? And then are you staying somewhere for Denison and Kenyon, both those games considered back-to-back?
Yeah, we're leaving on Friday. I think that's the 9th, maybe. We're leaving on Friday to go to Ohio. Yeah. And then we're gonna be staying in a hotel overnight, Friday night. And then I'm not sure if we're staying in the same one the next night or if we're driving to a different one. Because I'm not sure how far apart the schools are. But yeah, we're gonna be staying overnight in Ohio. And then we should be getting back on Sunday around like midnight-ish.
Wow, that's quite the game. But plus you have, school, of course. Can't forget that as well. Plus, aren't you an RA?
Yes, I am an
Oh
RA.
my goodness. They got you working overtime there at Concordia.
Yeah,
But
I know.
we'll read through a few more of the games. We'll go through the September ones. Aurora, you play at home. Benedictine, also at home. At Wisconsin Lutheran. At Illinois Tech. And then hosting St. Norbert. Is there any game on the schedule that I read that you're like, ooh, I'm looking forward to this one?
Definitely the Illinois Tech game.
Rivalry?
Yeah, they're like one of our biggest rivals. My twin sister actually plays for Illinois Tech. She's injured right now, but that's usually like that one game that we're like, we need to win this just because of how big of a rivalry it is and like how much of a competition they put up against us. So I'm really, really, really excited for that game because last year also we played them twice, but both of the games were here. So I think it'll be different, definitely playing there in Illinois.
Yeah, there you go. Plus you could go back to your home state as well. I got a track question sent in here before we go. Here it is. It's from Bernie Vanden Heuvel. A lot of Vanden Heuvel here in this episode. Is your goal nationals for track? Bernie wants to know if you're going all in. Are you ready?
Yes. The goal is nationals this year. That is what we're hoping for. I'm going to work a lot. Hopefully he's going to nationals too.
There we go.
Yeah, we're gonna do it. We gotta work a lot, but I have a lot of faith, a lot of confidence in, both of us that we can make it to nationals this year.
Yeah, so we've had now, with you being on here, 3 of the 16 episodes, 3 Concordia guests on the show, 3 Falcons here. So we had Gideon on. I don't know if you've listened to that one, national qualifier. So maybe we have 2 more of our. Maybe that just brings some good luck here on the podcast.
Hopefully.
Look, Patrick Baldwin Jr.'s been on this show. He got drafted in the NBA, so we could maybe see some good luck come along here on the show. But Sabrina, I want to thank you here for coming on. I want to wish you the best academically and athletically here throughout this season. So thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
And thank you, of course, to everyone who sent in some questions. We'll be back here at 8 o'clock for episode 78 of Drew's Sports Crew. But remember social media at Drew Sports Crew on the Instagram and Twitter. Drew's Sports Crew here on Facebook and YouTube. Plus, tomorrow night, we have a surprise thing coming your way. We have a mock draft for fantasy football we'll be doing. It's a real draft for Zach. I'll probably be doing a best ball. It's just a fantasy football talk with some listeners. So if you want to come and ask some questions, we'll also have some listeners on the show as well. So it'll be a lot of fun. So yeah, that's going to wrap it up here. Sabrina, thanks again. So thank you all for listening to yet another episode of Drew's Sports Crew, the perfect podcast for you. Thank you, everybody. Good night.